Hey guys, people really wanted me to make another tier list video after the last balance patch, so let's give it a try again, splitting the tier list into lane and jungle tier list. First we start with the lane tier list, and as well, as always, laning doesn't mean how strong I rate this Pokemon in laning. I rate this overall performance across the entire game. Early, mid, late game, pretty much. Otherwise, you know, Mamoswine would be an S tier character because his laning phase is super strong, but in general, because his early, mid, and weak late game is quite weak, he does drop. Just so you guys understand. Because last time there was some questions about it as well, so I'm just gonna talk about it very fast. All right, let's start. Absol. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I mean, Absol is quite difficult to rate still. I do think Absol is very strong. Actually, I'm gonna put Absol into S tier still. One of the strongest characters, I feel like, in laning phase. On the current patch as well, where everyone is very squishy. Do like it a lot, and I still think it's quite strong. The only problem is when you play against super Blissies, it could be quite difficult, but doesn't matter what, Absol is a super strong character currently. I'm gonna drop Blastoise down to A tier in this as well. Has lost a lot of power. I still think he might be even falling down further in the future, depending on how much it actually did. His Unite move got nerfed quite hard. Also, him being able to be slowed now, same as the Corvette, makes him much worse. But he's still quite strong, does a lot of damage, and certain Pokemon still can't deal with how much water sport damage he does. Blissey, S tier, for some reason got buff. I know Egg Bomb got nerfed, but in general, Egg Bomb is super strong right now. Safeguard Helping Hand is also still very strong. S tier Pokemon quite easily. Mamoswine. I think Mamoswine is still just like the most average defender there is. Like, he's just average. Everything he does is kind of average. He does have a very good laning phase, but besides that, falls off quite hard. But I do think he's quite fine. Charizard, we all know how lane Charizards are. Stinky. It stinks, okay? Cinderace, stinky. Don't pick it in lane, guys. Don't do it. Cramorant. I think Jungle Cramorant does seem potential, but lane Cramorant I'm still not impressed by whatsoever. And his laning phase is fine, but like, I've still yet to see, you know, a Cramorant in lane be like, wow, this felt so strong to play against, I didn't know what to do. And I think he's somewhere between B and C tier probably, but I still need a bit more convincing. Crustle, I'm gonna move Crustle into B tier for now. I'm a big Crustle fan right now. I think B is like a testing ground to understand, like, is Crustle really that strong right now? And I do think he's quite strong. He shows a lot of potential, and I'm a big fan of the X's buff. We'll see how it performs over the next few weeks, but I think it has a lot of potential, and I think we're gonna see more people try out this Pokemon. Eldegoss is still solid A tier. I think people rate Eldegoss very bad right now because it gets outclassed by Hooper and Blissey. But you can totally pick Eldegoss and do a lot. This Pokemon is still super strong, and I think people truly underestimate it just because Blissey and Hooper are super strong. I see people put Eldegoss like here nowadays. Of course, the other two Pokemon are better, but it doesn't mean that Eldegoss is a bad pick, right? Eldegoss is still a very strong Pokemon, at least what I think. Garchomp is okay. Nothing too crazy either. I think he is a fine Pokemon. Still, I think I would like to see him get his Unite move speed back doing his Unite move, for him to be, you know, like, he's also somewhere between here. It's sometimes very hard to rank them. Like, I think he's like a C tier, but also B tier. Gardevoir did receive a buff, but I think mages have a hard time right now in the current meta. A lot of Pokemon kind of destroy Gardevoir pretty hard. You do get level 8, but in the end, it really doesn't matter too much that you get Gardevoir on level 8. I really thought it had probably more impact, but again, you get Unite Move still at level 9, so... But the evolution on level 8 is very nice. It will help you get Unite Move easier because you don't have to get that evolution experience anymore, right? From 8 to 9. So it does make it's easier to reach Gardevoir, that's for sure. Gengar. Gengar's quite fine in lane, nothing too amazing either. I'll put into B tier. Because I think Gengar is just a very strong Pokemon still right now. Laning phase is rough, but as soon as you get to level 5, you can actually take over games. Greedent, still S tier. Pokemon is busted. Annoying to play against. Even with the Corvette nerf, still think it's very strong. Greninja, stinky laner, absolutely stinky. Lucario, S tier still, hasn't really changed. Machamp, S tier, hasn't really changed. Still very strong as well. Then we have the two attackers, Pikachu, Ninetales. I think both are pretty similar in what they do. I think it's like A tier is okay for it. It's nothing too crazy. Nothing too weak either. I don't think it's S tier worthy. I don't think it's B tier worthy. They're still one of the strongest attackers if you want to play lane attackers, right? Mr. Mime did receive a small buff, but in the end, it's still average. I'm gonna have a Mr. Mime video also coming up probably tomorrow, talking about him, talking about his buff and how you should play him right now. As well, and how you can still carry games with Mr. Mime. There will be a video tomorrow, but yeah. It's just still missing something, but it feels a bit better again for sure to play. Slowbro, A tier, Sky buff. Sure, it can be a thing, right? You can play Surf or Sky depending on what enemy team comps are. You can kind of be flexible more now. And also his Unite move got buffed, so he's a very solid attacker right now. Or a tank, I mean. Snorlax just doesn't feel like it does anything right now currently. They should show him some love. Like, he just needs a buff. He needs a decent buff. And until then, gonna keep him to C tier. Sylveon, solid A tier Pokemon. Still one of the best attackers as well for lane. This is like the triangle right now of like, if you want to play lane attackers, those are pretty good. Of course with Venusaur as well. I'm gonna add Venusaur to this as well. Solid A tier. We can either play Solar Beam or Petidance. Both are super good. I don't know if it's enough for S tier, but it's very strong and can recommend playing it for sure. You know, still very strong. Solar Beam, I don't think it's OP, but it's very strong. So you can be flexible as well, seeing at the enemy team comp. Do I want to go Petidance? Do I want to go Solar Beam? Both are viable options. Talonflame, nah. I still think it's better than these in lane, because he can maybe do something else later on, but also quite bad. Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is having a hard time currently, but I think it's still a B tier Pokemon for now. Wigglytuff is currently struggling, especially with all the Blissey's around that used to run Safeguard. Now there might be more Egg Bombs again, and more soft-boiled eggs, which means that there might be less Safeguards. So there's a chance for Wigglytuff to maybe be better again. But does struggle a bit right now, for sure. Zeraora, C tier. Nothing amazing. Decidueye, Stinky. Actually, I think Decidueye is better than these. Just because his level 7 is actually super strong, and he starts becoming an absolutely insanely strong character on level 7, I think I put him above the Stinky tier. Serena, solid A tier, very good Pokemon. Even got a buff as well. Dragonite in lane, Stinky. I absolutely hate when I have this in my team. Please don't pick Dragonite in lane. When I already see a potion Dragonite loading into a game, I already know it's outrage as well. Lane Dragonites are always outrage, and it hurts. It hurts. Stop doing it, guys. Trevenant, solid A tier Pokemon as well. Very strong defender right now. One of the strongest defenders. Together with Blastoise, you know, and Slowbro. Very good. Aegislash received a small nerf, but I do think he's still quite good, right? He's still a very strong Pokemon and deserves to be, I mean, somewhere between A and S tier as well. For sure. Somewhere between A and S tier. Easily, but it's quite difficult. Like, I feel like he still has a lot of weaknesses where I just can't put him into S tier. And you're gonna be like, but Absol is S tier. Yeah, true. You could just argue that Absol also has the same issues that Aegislash can have, and that I should put Aegislash or, you know, Absol into A to S tier, but it's quite difficult to rank sometimes. Maybe like an A plus or something, an A plus lane. But yeah, no. I think A is quite fine. Like higher rank A maybe. He's still pretty good. Hooper, S tier still. Pokemon is overpowered. They nerfed the wrong things. They nerfed Hooper Unbound damage, and you didn't pick Hooper for Unbound damage. You picked Hooper for Hyperspace, Portals, and the stun in Hooper Unbound as well. So, I think Flash Can Drawladon is not too bad. I think it can be quite the good laner if you have a good lane partner. I would say solid B tier. I wouldn't recommend trying Brain Pulse in lane, but I think Flash Can is quite good. Azumarill, I'm gonna move out of Stinky tier into C tier for now. Actually, I think B tier. I've played Azumarill lately, and honestly, it doesn't feel too bad right now with a different build. Aquatail is still quite Playrough is still quite but, you know, Whirlpool, Aquatail can be quite strong, and I think it deserves to be a bit higher now. Moon of Espeon right next to it. Espeon has potential, but it needs allies, right? Espeon just needs allies and to be good. It has very strong laning phase. It falls off very hard late game. And you can set up your team as like kind of like a supporty DPS, you know, a support attacker kinda. You set up your teammates for big wombo combos and stuff, but alone you will still not be achieving too much. But I do think this Pokemon also has potential. I would have liked to see a small buff to it. But yeah, that's it for the lane tier list. I'm gonna leave it up for 5 seconds and then we jump into the jungle tier list. Now for the junglers, let's go with Absol again. I still think Absol is S tier. Yeah, we're gonna stick to this. Gardevoir did receive a nice buff, as I mentioned earlier, but even authors think, as I said, like, Gardevoir just struggles very hard in the current meta, I feel like, or mages in general struggle a bit. And I do think it's nice to be level 8 and have Gardevoir a bit earlier. It does help with the evolution, but I just don't think it's enough to put Gardevoir too high. I don't think Psyshock is too amazing either, so I'm gonna leave it for that now. Blastoise, I'm gonna move down from S to A tier. His buffs are pretty heavy, and I still think he's quite good, does a lot of damage, and I still think he can be played in jungle if you really want to, but it does lose a lot of power. Charizard, also solid, I would say A tier for jungle. The only problem that I don't put him in S tier is because his Unite move is cancelable easily. And it can be happen if your thing gets cancelled once, it is over. Cramorant, after seeing Toon played a bit, honestly, I'm slowly becoming a fan of it. I'm not going to still put it too high, but honestly, it seems to have potential, the dive / Cramorant in jungle. So I'm going to wait a bit more and see how it performs, and maybe I bump him up even further depending on how people perform on it. Garchomp, I think Garchomp is also a K jungler. Nothing too crazy. I think B tier is quite fine. Drain Claw, Drain Rush, or like, yeah, can be quite good in jungle. But nothing too crazy either. But I do think it has potential too. Gengar still S tier for me as well. Cinderace is still S tier even after the Blaze Kick nerf. Pretty straightforward. Greninja. I used to have it as S+ tier, but I think he has moved from S+ tier to S tier. And I think that's quite reasonable too. You know, yeah. Small nerf. I don't think he's S+ tier anymore, but S tier, I mean, it's still pretty good, right? So, Lucario can jungle. But I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of it, in theory, but he can jungle. And I'm going to put him to C tier, though I think that's just being better junglers, but he can jungle. Like, it's for sure something he can do. It's just I feel like we give up a lot of landing potential. He can be level 5 as well. We could still see, like, you know, in the pro play, have Lucarius take the early jungle rotation, be level 5. But in general, I think there's just better junglers out there. Machamp can be a decent jungler, but again, it's also just a very strong laner, which puts him, you know, like, why pick it in jungle if you can pick it in lane as well? Like, I mean, because jungle is overpowered, right? Like, that's why. Mystical Fire Sylveon. When put in Stinky, there's some Mystical Fire Sylveon jungles. Now I'm gonna be like, now someone's gonna be like, but Chris, jungle Sylveon won both cups. It wasn't jungle Sylveon, it was Sylveon doing one buff, right? But no, okay, let's put it into C tier. I think I'm not gonna put anything into Stinky tier this time around. A full Sylveon jungle is not comparable to what people play in pro play, right? In pro play, it's jungle sharing, so not too comparable. It can work as well, but just much better options for, like, you know, having a main jungler. Ninetales, honestly, the Ninetales jungle doesn't seem too bad either. I think it's very popular in Brazil, and I do have some chances as well, but for solo queue, also just better things out there. Talonflame also going to drop down to B tier. Still pretty solid as well. I think Flame Touch might be the better build again, but it's just missing a tiny bit more to be, you know, a top tier jungler again, but it's still quite annoying as well. Venusaur is a solid, I think, higher A tier Pokemon when it comes to jungling. For sure, quite strong. I don't think it's enough. I'm not going to put it into S tier because I feel like it's missing certain things, but solid A tier. Same for Decidueye. Honestly, Decidueye is somewhere between S and A tier. He's very strong. He has everything you want to have, but it can still be quite difficult to play in general. But I do think I'm a big fan of Decidueye, and I think he's quite the strong jungler. Dragonite, as you saw still in the video, I do think he's one of the best junglers again in the game. After nerfs to other characters. And he still has that, like, you know, an insane jungle clear that makes him a very strong jungler. Aegislash, I know some people have probably put him into S tier, did receive a small nerf. I think A tier is pretty solid as well for Aegislash in jungle. It's quite strong. And I think A tier is something I can do for sure. Zeraora is just struggling right now. Can't really be a fan of it. And yeah, no. Just needs a bit more. Duraludon, I think, is a solid... I don't know, I think after this last patch, I do think he's like a B tier. I really don't like him too much. He can still be quite effective as well, but I think he's just missing something as well compared with the other things. I mean, jungle is just a very stacked role, right? There's so many Pokemon that can jungle and do well on it that you have to, you know, put not some people into lower tiers compared to other Pokemon, right? Serena, I think Serena can jungle quite well as well, but it does miss attack weight stacks, so I'm going to put into C tier. That's the problem, like getting attack weight stacks on jungler can be sometimes a bit more difficult, even though I played as well now, and Serena really relies on it to deal a lot of damage with Stomp. But after the last buff as well, I put it into B tier actually. I'm going to put Serena jungle into B tier, can be quite strong. Azumarill, after the last changes as well, I'm going to put it into C tier for now. There's some people who played in jungle, but I'm still not convinced. I still think I'm going to move it out of Stinky tier into C tier, but I still have to be convinced more for it to maybe be higher tier in the future. I guess Stinky tier like these Pokemon, right? Like these Pokemon shown jungle, but in the end, yeah, I'm not just gonna not put them into this. And then we have, I think that's it. That might be it for jungling. I mean, I guess Espeon could be a jungler, but I think Espeon is quite stinky for jungling. But I saw some people play it. But yeah, not comparable to other things really. I guess, you know, things like this, like other damage dealers, they just shouldn't be jungling. So yeah, but don't have to put them into the tier list. Alright, that's for the jungler tier list and for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, let me know what you disagree with, what you agree with. Always curious to see your guys' opinion, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!